Market update. I'm your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. If you need to understand what's important about the Bitcoin halving, other than the fact that there's going to be less supply of Bitcoin, stay right here. If you've been rattled the last couple days by the volatility in crypto, stay right here. Why are you here? I will tell you. I will tell you if you forgot, because there are times when I forget and I remind myself. Today, I'm here to remind you. We're going to discuss Bitcoin. We're going to discuss crypto. We're going to discuss Wall Street. We're going to discuss why rising commodity prices could be awesome for crypto. And that is happening as we speak. We will also talk about, I don't know, perhaps let's call them policymakers. Policymakers. Yeah. All right. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to the channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, hit the like button. Okay, let's see who's here. Crypto Tilly with the Notorious PFP. Love it. Osario, Lotmo Crypto, Super Matt, Ave Medina, the Spartans from the Patreon group. This will be a great time to remind you that this show is brought to you by my Patreon. Patreon.com/unhinged crypto. The link is in the down below. And we have this very subtle QR code. Altcoins, podcasts, premium reports. Get ready for Web3. Scan that code and jump on in. We have Bull Runner here, Amian, Wrong Again, Philip, Raj, Donato, Timbo coming in from Twitter. Great filibuster with the super chat. We appreciate you. Oliver, Aiken, Kim Craig, Traveler 88, the OGs, the regulars. Kim, we're gonna get you that crypto life. We're gonna make the dream come true. Just as a reminder, producers put in the shop where we have a premium report on real world assets and DeFi. Okay, for a whopping $27. Futures exchange hand signals. Also the $15 a month membership. Right? I would dare you to find a private group that's more affordable. Check it out. Okay, number 23 is here. Search Agent wants the SEI roadmap. Here's the SEI roadmap. Yesterday, they ran the stops. They ran the stops and they pushed everybody out. The bottom line of a regression channel. Don't let them force you out. Okay, Degen, what's up? News. Okay, who is listening to the Fed chairman speak today? We are. Let's talk about it. Okay, so here's our friends letting you know that, we got a little bit of a sticky inflation problem. Obviously, if you go to the grocery store, you know this. Isn't it amazing how in December, when we kind of knew about this problem, everyone was like, and the policymakers were calling them. The policymakers were like, hey, let's lower rates. The next 3 rate cuts are coming any day now. Stock market moons. Now, a little bit before the election, we're like, oh yeah, we're going to be tough on inflation, right? Because, job openings are, the labor market's still pretty good because everyone's got to have 2 jobs to pay for things. Okay. That's why the job market's good, but the numbers are the numbers. And now we have a parade of policy boomers telling us that, just kidding about that interest rate cut thing. The economy is strong. Exactly the message you would want in an election year. Now, they don't really have room to cut rates based on the current inflation data. Unless something pops up later on where it's like, yeah, you guys left rates way too high for way too long. This is the opposite of inflation was transitory. right? Remember that? Maybe 2021. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about inflation. Oh, we only printed about, I don't know, 20 trillion. It's transitory. Now, oh, God, no, we had to leave rates at 5%. Like that's going to have anything to do with food prices. Okay. 5% interest rates eventually creates a problem. It eventually creates a problem. And you know what? That's why you only got a one-day drop in Bitcoin. That's why you only got the one-day drop. So let's talk about inflation. Let's talk a little bit about commodities. We'll talk more about it later. You know, if you go back and you read this old book called Intermarket Technical Analysis, right? They'll tell you in the book about how gold is a historic hedge against inflation. They'll also tell you that when commodities go up, like gold and silver and oil, that the USD or the DXY trend, okay? Commodities up, green fiat down. That's actually happening today because I got all twisted up. I was like, oh, wow, what am I going to do? You know, I got all twisted up. Inflation risk latecomers pile into silver. So gold up, silver up, green fiat down today. Is there a cryptocurrency that performs very well under those circumstances? Why, yes. Ethereum. Did a statistical study with a Wall Street economist at a prior job. ETH loves lower green paper, higher gold and silver. By the way, I watched a video by a guy who's on his own now, Blockchain Crusader, about how to use Base. And I watched this guy on his phone trade with ETH in a Coinbase wallet like it was Solana. And we're selling ETH at 3,200 with silver and gold breaking out, with the Fed keeping rates way too high. You know what the good news is about the Fed blah, 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 is that the gold and silver markets aren't buying it, one. Two, they know the more they blah, 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 blah about not being able to lower rates, the harder and faster they're going to have to lower rates. When they cut, the first cut is going to lead to 3 cuts. Can they do the cut today? No. But when they have to do it, man, are they going to do it? They're going to be like, oh no, we left rates way too high, way too long. For more on this, in the Patreon store, there is a story about the Fed and people who advise central banks, along with DeFi and RWA plays. You want to have your shopping list ready, particularly after days like the last 2 days. Will Ethereum ride the crypto bull and reach 10,000 in 2024? Now, everyone is always talking about this huge number in ETH, like 10,000. Let me ask you something. What about ETH at 5,000 or 7,000? And I've said this before, and I will say it again. A new all-time high in ETH and a 5,000 print, right, ignites the whole alt space. I think it could actually ignite Bitcoin as if it needs something to ignite it, right? If you can trade with ETH on base and gold and silver are rallying, and frankly, if you think about it, they could also accelerate. Gold and silver volatility has been relatively muted, right? It's like, okay, boring. Yeah, until it's not. Until it just completely takes off. We will look at commodity charts because remember, crypto is a digital commodity. A digital commodity. Now, the Chinese, they banned crypto, but as a backdoor, Hong Kong is getting ready for a Bitcoin ETF frenzy. Let me ask you something. If you had a little bit of a problem with wealth in Asia, or you just wanted to get into Bitcoin, like you were worried about the economy, their stock market over there has had serious problems. Good luck finding a Chinese stock that isn't virtually down only, or has been. Now that may stop, but hey, what do you want? Down only and slumping, or, up only where everyone freaks out about a 10% correction when it used to correct 50 to 60%. Interesting, don't you think? Kim Craig says, hi ho, silver away. Wrong again is liking Bitcoin dominance. Now, let's talk about this article from Pomp. Okay. Pomp has got an article, a tweet, where he discusses a Wall Street Journal article about one of the top partners from Goldman Sachs basically saying, I'm not into crypto, crypto's no good, etc. Now, a word about Goldman Sachs. Making partner, if you make partner, you're a unicorn in many ways. I am proud to say that when I was at Goldman, both of my bosses made partner. You have to interview with like 500 people. It's unbelievable. And the most amazing thing and most little known thing about partners at Goldman is that the average life of a partner as a partner is 2 years, right? Because once they put you in that pool of exceptional people, your exceptionalism has to in some ways go parabolic to justify you being there, because there's people down below who want that seat. This individual is the second longest tenured partner at Goldman, which means the wheels at Goldman don't turn without her. That's how I would interpret it. Now, let's go to Pomp. Let's go to the article. So she's talking to a Goldman Sachs intern in 2022 at the low and said, have you thought about what Bitcoin is really worth? Have you thought about at what point you'd get out? Well, obviously, she hasn't listened to Michael Saylor in that it's possibly the best form of digital property, and you don't get out. You put it on a thumb drive and you hold it as the future of money. For these legacy guys, has it paid to get out of the Magnificent Seven? Has it? Right? Has it paid to get out of the Magnificent Seven? We've noticed that 27% of all ETF flows have been into the S&P 500, which is led by the Magnificent Seven. What do you know? We don't get out of the Magnificent Seven, but oh man, you better get out of Bitcoin. You better hurry up. Get out of Bitcoin. Whatever. The second point is, we do not think it's an investing asset class. We're not believers in crypto because it's worth $2.5 trillion. Okay, so here is the LinkedIn profile for this individual. And, she's everything you would expect a partner to be. Princeton, Stanford. And I particularly like this. A member of an advisory council, and it looks like that she's got a building or a center named after her at Harvard. So that's pretty impressive, right? Can make a lot of money in investment banks. But I have a very simple question. A very simple question. What is the value of crypto? What is the value of Bitcoin? What is the value of Web3? Well, as she notes in the article, you can't put it into a financial model. It's not a real asset class. You get the idea. Here's my question from one ex-Goldman person to a Goldman person. What do we have to pay to get away from you? What price do we have to pay to get a form of money that works for us? Because obviously the dollar works for you. She even has a funny comment that said, if I told you to get off the green fiat, you would be like, what? I can't do that. Well, actually, maybe we can. Maybe we might need to. For those of us that don't have a building named after us. By the way, that particular institution, while we're talking long-term trading ideas, that institution's having a bit of a brand problem. What do we have to pay to get away from this? Because is it working for you? Because it's funny, because BlackRock wants tokenized security. So BlackRock is trying to get away from you. Now, of course, this person's at the top of the world, and I'm making her famous as I'm talking, right, for making controversial comments about crypto. $2.5 trillion for crypto. Is that a lot of money? I don't know. What's human freedom worth? What's Web3 worth? As much as Microsoft? Right? Just because you can't value it today doesn't mean it doesn't have value. The telegraph, the railroad, the internet, the future of money. Back to this. You better be careful that every financial institution not only tries to do the Bitcoin ETF, but they start going after other coins if they can't do Bitcoin. Litecoin was up above 105 yesterday. That's a big quarterly breakout point. There's a little bit of envy going on out there because if Bitcoin bottoms here, and then this is about the halving, which I'm getting to next. The halving becomes a gigantic publicity event for Bitcoin. And it's really interesting that this and this about, you know, hey, let's FUD everything. Let's not lower rates. Meanwhile, Coinbase taps the Lightning Network. What do we have to pay to get away from you? Okay, now I'm going straight to PowerPoint. Now, naturally, as I transition to PowerPoint, you don't get where that individual was. You know, that's the unicorn of unicorns. But showing respect for somebody's position is not an excuse to let them off the hook when the rest of us want to do something else. Let's talk about proof of work. Let's talk about what actually happens when you mine Bitcoin as best that I can. Bart is here making it live. Okay, so to run the Bitcoin network, network participants do really tricky mathematical puzzles that require massive amounts of computing power. The first miner to decipher these unbelievably difficult computer science puzzles receives Bitcoin. That's the long and the short of it. The Bitcoin halving, well, that's the reward you get for doing these really, really hard mathematical puzzles. So hard that the answer is not exact. Miners have to agree in computer science terms, hence the blockchain term consensus. Now, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. So first it was 25 Bitcoin at the first halving. Okay, it went from 50 to 25, and then down to 12 and a half, and then down to 6, and then down to 3 in April. So you want to be a Bitcoin miner, do you? Well, you're going to get less Bitcoin. And everyone's like, oh, the Bitcoin miners aren't going to make money. Yeah, unless they're mining diamonds, unless what they're mining is so scarce, unless what they're mining gets us away from them. Gets us away from them. Who invented us versus them? The crypto people, or they did? So this whole idea that miners are in trouble or the stocks can't do well, I don't believe that. Because you know what? If they're still pulling out 3 Bitcoin per block, that could be plenty. Plenty. Also, just as a reminder, it's a commodity. And like many other commodities currently, they're in there's hot demand. There's not enough supply. Bitcoin is classified as a commodity by the CFTC. Wait till you see the commodities charts. Now, again, more on mining. The puzzles get more challenging if blocks need to be produced quickly, right? What happens when the whole world gets on Bitcoin, right? Imagine these Bitcoin miners as the ultimate source of Bitcoin, the ultimate source of Bitcoin. Now, here's a friendly reminder. Here's some TA that I did. It's a really complex chart, but I'm going to explain it to you in English. So we have this event coming up, which, you know, maybe you understand it, maybe you don't. Bitcoin is made by the people who maintain the network. They'll be getting less Bitcoin soon. It's a part of the Bitcoin program. That makes Bitcoin more scarce. So that brings us to the question of, well, okay, it's this big event, but what does it mean in the overall scope of the bull market? Like, what has it meant in the past? Well, in the past, they run it up into the halving, and then they do like a 30% correction, right? It's all over Twitter. Now, in my mind, they've already kind of done that, but that's the history. Now, a little bit of history from me about these Bitcoin trends in general, like from the low of the last cycle to the high of the new one. Just took the last 3 cycles, like, oh, let's check it out. Maybe we'll throw a little bit of Fibonacci numbers in there, but let's see what happens. So Bitcoin usually starts to go parabolic 15 months after the bottom of the previous cycle. So the FTX bottom was December of 2022. 15 months after that would be March. Hey now, time to go parabolic, and everyone is selling. Why? I don't know, because policymakers are like booga, booga, booga. I don't like Bitcoin because Wall Street Journal, stay away. Yeah, stay away. I'm with Larry, by the way, right? Even though he's not the greatest guy in the world, maybe they have an agenda over there at his company. I'll stick with the guys who want to pull it all out of the system. Bitcoin could go parabolic. Now, how long could Bitcoin go parabolic? Because everyone's like, oh, parabolic, that means I get all the gains in one day. Not necessarily. Bitcoin could rally for 20 more months based on just how it's worked in past cycles. So you could have an upside target for Bitcoin of 150K by May of 2025. And if you want to get crazy, you can go for something like 200 something. Okay, so here's the picture, right? So from 2015 to 2016, there's your 15 months. There's your 20-month ramp for a total of 35 months. Last cycle, the abyss in 2018 with Bitcoin miners going out of business and throwing their mining equipment on the sidewalk for the trash collectors. Bottoms are unbelievable. 15 months later, COVID comes along, boom, massive rally. Roughly 20 months to the top before it rolled over. Now, there's the FTX bottom. 15 months later, here we are. Now, if you project out 20 more months, this is Fibonacci circle analysis. I like using that to try to find upside targets. Here's a good old-fashioned trend line drawn on the log scale. I don't know. The trend line intersects the circles at 142 and 210. Slightly different numbers than I had in a PowerPoint, but you get the idea. What is the Bitcoin halving in this particular case? Ready? 2 words. The starting line. The starting line. We're just getting started. Now, I read you the news articles. They're all trying to stop it. They all want you to stay away from it. Wall Street Journal, policymakers. Ooh, don't touch that. Okay. Not only am I going to go after that, but I want something else. You know what I want? I want Web3. They're like, Web3? Isn't that a bunch of people in bunny costumes handing out QR codes for NFTs? Yeah, that's what it became last cycle. But what about the thing that gets us away from them? The technology, the future of money, multiple currencies. If you go up to a currency booth at an airport and you go, oh, there's a lot of choices here. A lot of choices, a lot of different countries, a lot of different cryptos. What are we going to have? We're going to have what? 2? We're going to have Bitcoin and Doge? Or are we going to have Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, XRP, Dash, Zcash, etc., and invent new ones? What do you think? Go to a currency counter at an airport. Google a picture. I should have had one for the deck. Now, some more Fibonacci circle analysis. This leads me to believe We have a Fibonacci circle analysis. Then we have something drawn using statistics. That's this linear regression channel. And then I'm just like, you know what? Let's just take the current move and let's just draw a circle that captures the current move and draw the regression channel and see what we get. Looks like the regression channel and the circles intersect at the 19th and the 24th of April. And one of the things you do when you do this type of analysis is you're looking for where intersections occur, whether it's Gann, Fibonacci. Show me something where the lines intersect. Well, wouldn't you know, technical analysis that doesn't have anything to do with the Bitcoin halving is pointing to the Bitcoin halving right around that 18th to 24th zone. As what? The end or the beginning? Notice how Bitcoin found support on this midpoint of this linear regression channel drawn using statistics. Booga, booga, booga. Don't touch Bitcoin, whatever. ETH. Hey now, a little bit of a different picture. ETH has April 7th as a possible ignition date. That's the solar eclipse. Just in case you're wondering about what happens with solar eclipses, you can have earthquakes. We have that going on in Asia. Heart goes out to those people, anyone's listening. April 27th, another possible date for ETH. Don't fade the rally in gold. Don't fade the rally in silver. Don't. Okay? As an aside, just a little Web3, just a little thing I'm throwing out there. Let's take a look at Tau. So some plain Jane fib circles from the day Tau hit this exchange to the high. Notice you have this expanding triangle. That's what it's called. Some of the most powerful consolidation formations out there. Notice how they're hammering down here at the bottom. What happens if this is only the beginning? You're like, yeah, I missed it. It went up a lot. No. Because what do I have to pay to get away from you or them? What do I have to pay? Okay, what's Web3 worth? Let's be nice about it. What's Web3 worth? Then if you ask yourself that question is, do you want to grab this at the bottom of an expanding triangle? Another reminder about Bitcoin, a guy I used to work with at Morgan Stanley, who's now a strategist for a wealth advisor. Old-fashioned legacy, right? Jordy Visser defining his 50-30-20 portfolio. So, stock guys are like, 60 stocks, 40 bonds. Oh, okay. Well, Jordy wants to put 20 in Bitcoin, as in 20%. How long do you think it's going to take with Jordy on LinkedIn and on the internet? And how long do you think it's going to take before people go, I kind of like this idea. Now, all right, maybe every pension fund doesn't put money in Bitcoin tomorrow, but the higher it goes, the more they're going to want it. And Jordy wanted 20% a long time ago, like a couple of months ago. What if 1% of $56 trillion in pension funds go into Bitcoin? This is a little chat GBT style work. I don't know. It's way over 200K. Commodities. This matters. The CRB index. Okay. This is the boomer of boomers commodity index going back to the 70s, even beyond that. CRB is heavily weighted metals and grains and food. And what's happening here? Up only. Now, why do we care about this? Because commodities up, green fiat down. Notice oil. This is a cup and handle. Oil could also go, which is scary for the inflation front, but it's enough to spook the dollar. You have a 9 top on DXY at resistance. You have UUP, which is the DXY ETF. First, there was a trend, then there was a pause, then they started the trend again, and then the trend failed because commodities up, green fiat down. Meanwhile, everyone's listening to policymakers. Mr. Market is doing a green fiat devaluation by raising commodity prices. So we're going to listen to the blah, 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 or are we going to listen to the Mr. Market? This matters headed into the halving. In other words, this is about commodities. This is about supply. Less supply, more excitement, more demand, and commodities as an asset class smoking. Now, Bitcoin at a tactical level. So Bitcoin loves doing this. All of crypto loves doing this. Everyone gets in, everybody out, everyone back in again. This has been the norm, right? They wash everybody out on a 4-hour chart. This dotted line is automatically drawn by a DeMark support point, automatically drawn by a quant system. It holds. You can't see it, but there's a number 4 here, which indicates this could be a wave 4, which could be followed by a wave 5. Trends have 5 waves. Wave 5s can be very emotional, very vertical and very emotional. Now, naturally, the market's hesitating because policymakers are on the tape. Everybody's a little bit spooked. This is your Bitcoin halving plan. It's a commodity. The supply is being reduced. People in past cycles haven't had to think about Bitcoin in this way because it wasn't in an ETF and legacy wasn't all over it. Remember, Hong Kong is coming. Remember this. Okay, Solana, the personification of Web3. Be careful about a mobile phone announcement or some sort of fundamental announcement from Solana around the Web3 conference consensus. Not just Web3, but crypto as a whole. Solana's got resistance at 191. Who knows? Maybe it pinballs back in between 191 and 172. Now, I'm not going to lie. Every time this market goes down 20%, it's scary. I mean, it looks like it's just going to shatter. A lot of these altcoin charts, they've got momentum divergences. It just looks terrible. But then what happens? It stops, and you take a moment to remember, why are you in crypto? What is the Bitcoin halving plan? To think of Bitcoin as a super scarce commodity in a commodity bull market, occurring simultaneously as people think about paper money, right? I mean, can you go on TikTok? Can you go on Twitter and not see some site showing you a young person from any North American country talking about what they have to do to survive and buy groceries? Right? And again, everyone's selling it. No one interested. The Coinbase app in the Apple Store, not interested. No one's interested. You want to know when you get interested? In the market update, in your research, in Patreon, in the link down below, when no one's interested. Bart is saying pre-order Solana Mobile 2 all got an airdrop of a cat coin, which is all the rage. Just remember about meme coins. Meme coins are not necessarily Web3. They're great because they bring capital into the system. They bring people into the system. But after the Bitcoin halving, right? In other words, the meme coins are fun, right? But then when you get to the Bitcoin halving, people's mentality may shift if there's no sell the fact. And they may gravitate towards the technology stock portion of crypto. Okay, some live TA. Just as a reminder, this is Galaxy Digital stock. This is what Galaxy Digital was doing in 2021. This is what Galaxy Digital stock is doing now. And what's that exactly? Nothing. Nothing. Right? Like if you look at Hut 8 mining, what's happening here? Okay, they hit some resistance. There's support here, but let's let's just like take a moment, take the regression off, and come down here and look at this. Okay. What is the plan for the Bitcoin halving? How about we help T-Bone out and take these Bitcoin stocks to the moon? Not investment advice. In other words, if you look at this stock and then you look at this, S&P, 27% of the flows, the Magnificent Seven, ETFs tracking the index to an all-time high of $137 billion. Yet, nobody interested in this. There was a famous baseball player. His name was Ty Cobb. He was one of the guys that hit 400. There's 9 men playing defense on an American baseball diamond. Some reporter asked Ty Cobb, Mr. Cobb, how do you know where to hit the ball? And he said, you just hit them where they ain't. You hit the ball where there are no defenders. You buy the stuff that no one is interested in. No one is interested in. Okay. Real world assets. Look at all this red ink over here, huh? GFI, Dusk down 2%. Okay. Polymath and Raven, 2 of my favorites, sadly down 10 or 8%. Okay. Let's just pull Ondo up and maybe we'll look at an 89-minute chart of Ondo and see what we can find out. Okay. Looks like we got support at 76 cents. And wouldn't you know, 76 cents is roughly the 38% retracement of the entire up move in Ondo. Now, you may have to wait a week. You may have to wait until the Bitcoin halving. But what if I told you, because of the way this commodity trend is shaping up, that all this stuff that the policymakers are trying to, like, you know, shake you up a bit. And who knows, maybe they shake this up, because I'm looking at the Bitcoin DeMark chart right now on my other computer. It doesn't look good. Looks like they're selling rallies. Good. Good. Okay. Crypto Tilly is asking me if I can see the S&P, if I can see MicroStrategy in the S&P. Well, MicroStrategy is probably not going to go directly into the S&P because it's considered highly speculative. But if MicroStrategy made a strategic acquisition, that could change. This is, again, what people don't understand. If you have mergers and acquisition activity, and I know that's a broken record, but if you have mergers and acquisition activity, that could change how MicroStrategy goes in the S&P 500. King Peasant is here. Crypto Crazy. Good to see you. Welcome. Welcome. Okay, let's do VRA for Rudy, because I know Rudy's going to be watching later. And VRA is probably also a good example of what is happening to some altcoins. Okay. So, you know, right now, all you can see in VRA is red, right? They've taken this entire rally and they've unwound it. Now, VRA's got to find some support pretty quick, like right over here. But this, like many other altcoins, like many altcoins could wind up looking like this if things aren't pretty in the next 5 days. Like, you know, you can draw a fib retracement in Dusk, right? So Dusk, which has been down only lately after going up only, has support at 46 cents. And, you know, if it breaks 46 cents, who knows what they could do when they unwound it. But the reason that this is the Bitcoin halving show, believe it or not, is it's a lot about altcoins. Because you know what everyone's going to do here? Everyone's going to sell. Everyone's going to say the chart is broken, because that was my first reaction until I realized what the Bitcoin halving meant after seeing commodity charts from one of the smartest guys I know, who was the one who called me up and said, hey, Bill, all the guys that used to work at Goldman would love to hear what you have to say about Bitcoin. That was 2017. And he was the one who showed me about commodities. AK, man, we love you. So if they want to hit altcoins and they want to run the stops, let them. Now, is that great for your portfolio? Might you have to make an adjustment short term? Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Or headed into the eclipse, when that's over with, maybe it's time to start getting ready for the halving. Maybe you got to ask yourself, I don't know, let's just take Dusk. What's a theoretical worst case scenario? Maybe 62% at 32 cents. In other words, I don't usually talk about DCA very often because I sometimes think DCA can be a way to get yourself in trouble if things just keep going. But I got a takeoff point for Dusk around the 10th to the 17th of May. And again, not to harp all over this, but it's time to get the shopping list out. It's time to get in Patreon where I can get you some charts and get you the support and resistance levels, including watching the market update, so you can say to yourself, hey, where do I start grabbing this? I saw BCH going by. Yes, there is the BCH halving. People, if you underestimate the future of money, now, Bitcoin Cash can get wild either way. It can get wild going in either direction. Right now, it looks like Bitcoin Cash got a little bit too wild. Fibonacci support is not holding. Whoops, not that. But if you look at what the 38% retracement is for Bitcoin Cash, it's basically where the parabolic rally started from at 516. And it's not going to be fun to catch the falling knife in this because, again, it's down 9%, and they're hitting everything. And no one is interested, and everyone is upset, right? Policymakers got you running for the hills. Doge is down 4%. Guess what? Let them have their day. DCA. Hey, look, that rhymes. Let them have their day, DCA. Find relevant points. Okay? Find Doge update, please, okay? Let's get a Doge update. By the way, I saw my first meme coin on Polkadot on Twitter the other day. Very interesting. Very interesting how these networks are using meme coins to try to get people's attention. Now, I do think at some point you are going to do better investing in technology and not necessarily investing in meme coins. But that is going to sound like boomer crypto in the short term. One of the things you don't want to do, I'm sharing screen right now, thank you. One of the things you don't want to do is wind up getting killed in a consolidation period. So here is the daily chart of Doge. Okay. This is the linear regression line. You're at the midpoint right now at 17 cents. Christmas would be 12 if they're going to hit it. Okay. In other words, this is the trend, and I'm showing a May 5th takeoff date for Doge. Now, that's a long time in crypto. That's a long time to sit and watch your position be bleh. But the reason I wanted to do the Bitcoin halving show 3 weeks before the Bitcoin halving is because I want you to take 3 weeks to get ready. I want you to, like I said, Patreon, market update, altcoin overtime, get support points, get them lined up, because if they hit this thing, they're hitting it for the wrong reason. Okay. Someone asking for key. Okay, Cloud asking me about Bitcoin Cash. Probably overbought, probably going to retrace. Not investment advice. Grab anything that looks like money on a dip. DCA if you have to. Reduce the size of your positions to tolerate volatility. Okay, support in key is 0.0078. Okay. And I'm just trying to do regular fib retracements just to see where things are. 62% is 0.00836. I'm keeping it simple, people. It's like if they want to bring it to me, then let's bring it to me. Okay. Somebody said, been there, done that. Maybe that was in meme coins or DCA. You know, meme coins, you have a better chance in meme coins than you do at a casino. Okay. But there's no point in losing investment capital. Now, if you were going to play around on meme coins, it's base. It's base, right? This is Degen. This is not a meme coin, even though it looks like it is. CoinDesk was asking me if I knew what this was. This is something on base. If we have base season, and it's not just about meme coins, although I am kind of partial to Toby the Frog. You know, we can all have our coins that we think are cute. If there is base season and the normies figure out that they can play on base without having to like buy a crypto, wait 5 days for it to clear, and then have to send it to some wallet and then figure out how to trade on Jupiter or whatever, they don't have to do that. I watched this demo. They can do it all in base, right? And the power of this, I don't know. It seems to be escaping people. I mean, you have a reduction in Bitcoin supply, a commodity, during a commodities rally, a way to trade on ETH that's economically affordable, and we're listening to policymakers go blah, blah, blah about old news. Whatever. Whatever. I want to find the new news. The new news. 23 wants XRP. Goodness, these poor suffering people. Okay, so I thought it was a rounding bottom in XRP, and they take it through the bottom. Brutal, right? I don't even know if I can draw this anymore. So this is XRP on a daily chart. Let's just take a look at it like a retracement level, right? And again, sadly, this is classic because what they're doing is they're taking it below the 62% retracement and they're making everybody upset. And people in XRP were upset as it was. You know, if they thrust this down and force people out, the way you have to think about XRP, everybody used to think about XRP versus the system because of that court case. I think you got to start looking at XRP like it was money. Okay, like it was money, like Litecoin. You know, I was like, Litecoin, 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 and everyone blew me off. Okay, now here's Litecoin making a big new high. So this is an example of why I'm talking about DCA and the Bitcoin halving now, so you can get DCA ready. So Litecoin makes a new high and the momentum indicators don't, and they kind of knife over. So they call that bearish divergence, or on crypto Twitter, they call it bear div. Okay. Okay. They call it bear div. Now, if that's the case, you can have a correction in Litecoin. You can have a correction in Litecoin. But if there is a correction in Litecoin, you want to grab the future of money. Motley is here. Bella wants to look at Store J. Okay. So somebody doesn't think that there's enough alpha in Patreon for $15 a month. Okay, well, you know what, sir? We appreciate that. We always take feedback of all types on the market update. We will work harder, but to be honest, somebody who paid their credit card bills off using our research might beg to differ. But we appreciate it. Come on in, give us a chance. Okay, Store J. This is when I like to kind of zoom out, right? Now, the fundamentals of this, I don't know. I don't. Okay. But what I do know is you can look at this and say, well, it's overbought short term, or you can start looking at these coins relative to where they have been in the past cycle. Okay. Philip, just reminding you that Ripple, dumps on their token holders, and that has been a big knock on XRP. Okay. Gian says he paid off his mortgage with some of my research. So we like to hear from both sides. Okay. Am I correct? Rats. Very interesting chart. Sometimes what I like to see in small caps is some kind of square consolidation. Okay? Square consolidation. Again, do you want to buy or sell at the bottom of a range? Particularly if they do something where they take it down, possibly run the stops, and then bring it back. And they bring it back. No better time to get the right levels than there are in the next 3 weeks. You don't want to say in June, I could have bought Web3, layer ones, cross-chain, ordinals. I mean, that's a whole universe that's exploding. Okay? Okay? Exploding, right? Jupiter. Like these exchanges on these low gas fee platforms. Oh my goodness. I mean, I remember Uniswap and SushiSwap from the last cycle. I mean, it was like fury. It was fury how those things rallied and how people went after them. I don't know if normies are going to have the same reaction, and I don't know if it's Solana or Base. But what I do know is if with all this money flowing, like go back to the article, right? Go back to the article. Everybody in S&P, how many people who are in S&P are in Jupiter? And what happens if you get a normal 38% retracement? Like what happened? I'm just saying, like if they want to sell you Jupiter at $1.33, think about it. Absolutely think about it. Okay. Mr. Mara saying, thank you, want to join Patreon. Quiet Dawn says, man, for $15, Bill's the hardest working guy out there. And you know what, sir? I appreciate that. And one word of reminder, right? As anyone who watches the market update will know, I sacrifice popularity for what I hope is accuracy and tomorrow's news today, right? Because we could talk about the hot topic today, but I want to talk about the hot topic tomorrow. Tomorrow, right? What's going to be on everyone's mind for the Bitcoin halving? Is the Bitcoin halving just about Bitcoin? Here's the shocking answer. No. Ave Medina giving me some love on the 6th Street podcast. Your personal crypto coach, 10 to 15 minutes a day. Market got you scared. Market got you down. You worried about what the cycle's going to bring? Do you have to make all the money right this second in a meme coin? Or is it going to be a bigger trend? Tune in to the market update. Tune in to Patreon. I'm your host, Bill Noble. We'll see you next time.